welcome to the Global Equipping Center Executive Coaching Program. My name is David Wilkinson. I'll be facilitating today. For many of you, you've just joined the Executive Coaching Program, and this is your first month, and you have 12 months to double your income. We consider an entrepreneur an individual or a company that makes less than $10 million or 100 million Rand per year, and that means that you're going to have to change what you did in the last 12 months. If you didn't double your income in the last 12 months, it's probably because you might have some blockages, maybe some hindrances that you need to shatter. And one of those is we're going to talk about tonight, which is the role of networking in business. Now, what first comes to your mind when you think about networking? I know many people say that networking doesn't work. And the reason why they don't think it works because it doesn't work for them. And when you think about why networking might not work, it's, have you been trained how to network? You see, I think many people believe that if they have the right personality, they're going to be a perfect networker. And today what we're going to talk about is how can you network so that you actually generate revenue out from networking. I'm sure if I ask for a show of hands of how many of you have ever been to a networking meeting in which you left with the same amount of money in your company and in your pocket than when you started, you'd all say, yeah, that was me. And many of us have gone to many networking meetings wondering if networking actually works. And tonight we're going to talk about some of the secrets about how to network in such a way to serve the community and watch your company in return grow. So let's get into some of the information. Look at the overview. We're going to have part 1 and part 2. And in part 1, we're going to talk about the role of networking in your business. We're going to be talking about a yearly networking strategy, how to convert meetings into money, and maximizing your business model. Now, when you think about networking, most people don't have a networking strategy, meaning that they may be a part of a chamber or Business Network International or Rotary, and they actually go to meetings and they kind of network, but they actually don't have it part of their business strategy. So tonight what we're going to talk about in part 1 is actually how do you develop a strategy in which networking is at the core of your business model. In part 2, we're going to talk about the bridge of business growth. There are 4 pillars in an effective networking event. And if you know how to effectively network, you're going to find that this bridge will show you maybe the weak link when you've attended maybe the wrong event and you walked away saying networking doesn't work for me. My challenge to you in this next 2 hours in part 1 and part 2 is to think differently about networking and to come to understand how networking can radically shift your business into the future. Lastly, we're going to talk about the practical 8 steps of networking. It's going to help you to know what's the first step to take in order to have an effective networking plan that's going to work for you. So let's get into some of the information. Look at this first slide. We're going to be talking about the 3 barriers to effective networking. And this first barrier is kind of humorous, and that is the difference between an introvert and an extrovert. When you think about networking, what most people think is if you have a dynamic personality and you love people, this is the best personality that you can have to be a great networker. However, there are people that are hidden. Have you ever heard the phrase, 4 out of 5 dentists agree on this toothpaste? We don't know who 4 out of 5 of these people were researched, but they're somewhere hidden in a room. They get paid and they get food, but we know that they research. And therefore, what happens is that these researchers have actually discovered that the very best networkers are not extroverts and they're not men. The very best networkers are females and they're introverts. And the reason why they've proven this to be true over and over is because of this. Men come into a networking meeting and they're looking to talk to as many people as possible and hear and share about their business and talk about business, when the introverts actually are a little bit more insightful. You see, they believe that the reason why they were given 1 mouth and 2 ears was that they could listen twice as much as they speak. And when you actually are engaged with other people in networking, the best way to network is to listen to the people that you're talking to so that you understand what they really need and whether or not your company can meet that need. So when you think about an extrovert and introvert, there's probably 50% of you right now listening to me that are introverts. And this is what it feels like for an introvert to walk into the back of a door in which there's 100 people at a networking event. It feels like there's 100 people with bows and arrows all drawn at you when you walk in the door. And many times what the introvert feels is they walk into the door and they look around and they can't see, and then they see somebody they recognize, and it's like the horse running to the barn. It's safe. It's yay. And they make a beeline. They run to that person and they say, "Oh, it's so great to see you." And they sit down next to the person, and guess what they do? They feel safe and they talk with the person, the only one they know in the whole room, the whole networking event. They don't do any business and they feel that they were effective at networking. My encouragement to you as an introvert is to recognize the truth of the large purple dinosaur called Barney. Barney, the large purple dinosaur, said this, that a stranger is a friend you haven't met. And therefore, if you believe that you're walking into a brand new opportunity to network with a bunch of strangers who don't like you, then there's really no reason to even go to the event. But if you say, this is a great opportunity for me to find one or two people that I'm going to connect with, then it's not about being an introvert or extrovert. It's just about caring about other people and finding out about who they are. The second part is about farming. That networking is a slow farming project. Now, networking has been used this illustration for many, many years. And the reason why it is because you think about networking as a plot of ground. And let's say you have this new plot of ground and there's a whole bunch of rocks on it. And now you're going to take the rocks off of this plot of ground, and then you're going to plow the hard ground over and over until it's soft, and then you're going to fertilize it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take some corn and you're going to go plant the corn, or the millies if you're in South Africa, and we're going to watch this harvest eventually grow up into a huge harvest. And that is what networking is referred to as a slow farming process. So far, I've yet to meet a farmer who puts a seed of corn into the ground and the next day comes out and gets angry with the seed because it didn't grow into a full-length corn that you can pick off the 3 or 4 ears the next day. Well, you say, but that's ridiculous. But that's what some people expect when they come to do networking. They expect actually to come to a brand new group of people, and that instant that everybody's expecting you to walk in the door and you're God's answer to business. And that everybody is saying, yeah, you're finally here. But that's not the way networking works. The way that networking works is that the more that you interact with people, the more comfortable they become with you, and the seeds that you plant, if you plant them correctly, will receive a harvest. Now, for the introverts, and for those people that enjoy building deep, long-term relationships, that should be something that really is attractive to you about networking. However, there is the other side of networking called hunting, in which if you forget this side, you will go hungry and you will go broke. And some farmers don't seem to realize that there's something above the mantle called a gun. And sometimes it's time to take that gun off the wall and dust it off and take it out and hunt the big game. Because if you can't discover as you network who you're supposed to take down as a client, you're going to go broke. So networking isn't meant to be only farming, but farming and hunting mixed in a beautiful synergy that's supposed to help other people and help your business. I kind of see it this way, as a double-barrel shotgun with a hoe attached to it. So here I am, and I'm networking, and I'm hoeing in the ground, and I'm cultivating relationships. But if I see a big animal walking across, I'm going to flip that hoe around and take out the person, and I got a client. But see, here's the thing, is if you show up to a networking meeting, and you are loaded for bear, and you walk in the back of the door, then your motive is not pure when it comes to networking. You're not supposed to come in to blow people away. You're supposed to walk in there to cultivate relationships over a long time, and then you take down the ones that are supposed to be your client. Therefore, if you farm too long, you'll go broke. If you hunt too quick, you'll get a bad reputation. So it's learning how to farm and how to hunt so that you help other people and your business grows as well. Lastly, is this concept that my product, my service is difficult to market. Okay, all of us know that when you walk into Game or you walk into Walmart, that probably you have cash in your hand or you've got a credit card and you know what you're going to buy. And you leave with a trolley with a cart full. Okay, that's not really something you have to market. It just happens naturally. But some businesses have a specific product or a specific service which is not tailored for the general public. And if that's you, and you have tried over and over and over to sell your product and service and are frustrated because you've lost sale after sale after sale, what happens is you show up to a networking event already believing that nobody in the room actually wants to purchase from you. And when that happens, guess what happens? You sit at a table where nobody has the capital and nobody has the need for what you have to offer. Therefore, my encouragement to you is, before you attend any networking event, is to believe the exact opposite. And to say this to yourself, you know what? I have the exact product. I have the exact service that the table that I sit at is just what they need. And they have the finances to purchase it. And this is going to be a great event. And if you continue to believe that, you will continue to sit at the right table at the right time, talk to the right people that will intersect with your business. Therefore, the first part is, no matter if you're an introvert or an extrovert, believe that you can be an effective networker. Number two, know when it's time to farm and know when it's time to hunt. And number three, understand that even if you have a difficult product or service, don't believe that it's difficult to market and that you will find the right people wherever you go. This next slide is the role of networking. Here's your first fill-in. Networking is the personal bridge for building professional relationships. Fill-in is personal bridge and professional relationships. It doesn't take long as you start to network with other people, and you'll find out that people like to do business with people they like. That no one actually wants to do business with a jerk. And so you find that actually a lot of jerks are poor because people don't like to do business with them. And what you're trying to do in a networking event is to try to find other people that you actually relate to. In fact, this is a major core value of the Global Equipping Center. James Rice, my business partner, and I made the decision that we only wanted clients that we could become best friends with. We didn't want clients to pay us money that we would say, oh, no, I can't believe I got to meet with this person again. That's a horrible place to be, is, yay, we're making lots of money. Oh, but we can't stand the people that are giving us the money. So therefore, in our minds, the reason why you network is to find the people in the room that you actually relate to. And you know what's ironic? Sometimes you meet someone one time and you can tell this is going to be a lifelong working relationship. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for people in the room that actually can relate to you, that you say, I want to do business with them. If they like you, you have a better opportunity, a better possibility of doing business with that individual. Number two is networking is the platform where the supplier meets a demand in the marketplace to a group of customers. The fill-ins are platform, supplier, and customers. One of the exciting aspects of the GEC is our business model. Our business model has been the same since 2000. It's to find business chambers that we can relate to, that we can come and serve. As we serve them, we provide motivational speaking, and eventually we'll say, hey, we have some dynamic seminars. Are you interested? And eventually we'll get one or two clients out of it. But what we love to do with networking with business chambers is what we have to offer is typically what they need. We're not trying to sell them on something that they don't need. And I was thinking about this concept about supplying and demanding, and here's the way the platform is. I want you to imagine that there's a high platform that another company has built, their platform, and that they've given you the opportunity to come and to use their platform. And I want you to imagine that you are a hay salesperson. You sell hay for cattle. Now, I want you to imagine you walk up and you have all these bales of hay, and you look out, and there the whole audience are seals, water seals. And now you're going to take hay and try to convince 1,000 seals that this is healthy for them, that this is good for them, and that they need to eat their hay every day. Now, I don't care how many stories you use, and I don't care how hungry the seals are. They're not going to eat your hay. They want fish. And what happens is people who don't know how to effectively utilize another person's platform when they've been invited upon it is they try to take their hay and try to stuff it down seals' throats. And all that does is frustrate the seals, and you have a lot of hay left over on the stage. Here's my point. My point is whenever you are on and have the honor about using another person's platform to do networking, make sure if your audience is cows that you have hay. And if they are seals, you better get rid of your hay and get a whole bunch of fish real quick. Because otherwise you're going to abuse the platform which you're supposed to serve the audience. Number 3, networking is the primary source for generating hot leads, long-term referrals, and business growth through partnerships. Networking is the primary source for generating hot leads, long-term referrals, and business growth through partnerships. Now, let's talk about these 3 areas of networking being a primary source. I want you to think about a hot lead is a business card in which you've exchanged with someone else who desires to do business with you. So we're going to take a business card here. And what I want you to recognize is that a business card is actually like a time bomb. If someone says to you, I want to do business with you, if somebody came along to me and said, listen, here's my business card, I am really interested in doing business with you, you'll watch me do something. I will take out my pen and I will write on the back of my business card the word ECP or something else, which reminds me who exactly this is and why they want to contact me. This is just like a 24-hour time bomb. Now, what that means is that if I take this business card home with me, I'm putting a bomb into my pocket and I'm taking it back home to my family. And I've got 23 hours and 59 minutes before this explodes. And the reason why I do that is because I have found that people who say they want to do business but are passive will not get back to you. And I can't tell you how many times I have actually had to chase someone else to pay them money for something I needed because they wouldn't email me. They wouldn't email me the invoice. They wouldn't give me their banking details. I didn't know where to send the check. So from now on, anytime someone gives you a business card, imagine it's a time bomb. You got 24 hours, and whatever you do, don't let it go to the 25th hour because that means it's now cold, which means they won't even remember you. I know people that will call me up 3 months later and say, listen, hi, David, this is Fred. I'm like, hi, Fred, how can I help you? Yeah, remember we met, last year, December. Okay, I just moved from South Africa. Did I meet you in South Africa? Did I meet you in Charlotte? Did I meet you in Chicago? Where did I meet you? So here's my point. If you want to be active with a hot lead, don't let it get cold. If it's a time bomb, you won't let it blow up in your house. Therefore, get back with the person as quickly as you can. Number 2, long-term referrals. Long-term referrals works like this, is that when you get to know people and you serve the community and they get to know who you are and they hear some stories about you, the next thing they start to do is they start to talk, hopefully good. They're going to talk about you and your products and your services. And all of a sudden you get a call from Bob. And Bob says, hi, David, my name is Bob, and I was referred to by Dave, who just wanted to let me know that you provide executive coaching. I wanted to know if I could have coffee with you. Now, that was nothing that I did, but someone else talked good about me and my service, my companies, in order to help them, which means that I made money off of somebody else talking. Now, referrals is the way that you exponentially grow your company. There's first, second, and third tier referrals in which you have your immediate family and friends, which usually don't do any business with you. Then you have acquaintances, which do a lot of business with you, and then people that kind of know you that you need to get to know a little bit better, but not so close that they won't do business with you. And what's supposed to happen is they're supposed to talk in the marketplace, and then all of a sudden, Fred tells Bob to contact me, and then I help Bob, and Bob tells his aunt, who tells his sister, who tells and then the next thing you know, somebody's contacting you, and you can't trace it back because so many people are talking you up in the marketplace, and you're getting business from first, second, third tier referrals. This last part is called partnerships. And for all of our clients in South Africa, many of you, we've talked out of actually going into a partnership with a business partner because of the havoc that wreaks. In a low trust culture, my concern is that you never have a business partner. It's one of the worst things you can do in your business. It can cost you your wife, it can cost you your money, it can cost you your business, and possibly your life, or in prison. Fortunately for me, my business partner, James Rice, it's only taken 5 years of culling and finding and refining where I found a man in Durban that I could trust completely with my business. And that's a partnership that's been once in a lifetime. In networking, there's the potential that you're going to find a business partner, a person that you're going to partner with as a client that will never leave your company. And those right there are the gold that you're looking for in networking. It's the person that you don't have to keep convincing over and over to stay with what you're doing. It's a person that trusts you, that believes in you, and says to you, you know what, I want to walk a road with you. And that's at the essence of networking, is to find the gold nuggets, which are few and far between, that can last a lifetime. Powerful quote by Robert Kiyosaki: the richest people in the world look for and build networks. Everyone else looks for work. This is great. He might recognize some of these individuals. Isn't it interesting that the super rich actually connect with each other? They actually know who they are. Robert Kiyosaki, his book that came out, which revolutionized many people's lives, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, was to get you to think differently about money. And when you think differently about money, you think differently about your organization, which changes the way that you do business. Now what we want to do is we want to help you formulate a yearly networking strategy. Now here's the first question. I want you to look at your notes and ask this question: what is your client worth? What is your client worth? I want you to boil it down. Let's say, for sake of discussion, you're a business chamber. And every business chamber has different levels, different tiers of what you can pay for your yearly subscription and the benefits, the value adds that you're going to have. Now, let's say your top price is $5,000 and your lowest price is $300. And let's say you have 5 of these people, and let's say you have 150 of these people. And what you're going to do is you're going to take all the amount of money that you make in 1 year from everything that you do. You're going to divide that by the number of people that you have as members. And you're going to come up with the average amount. So let's say, for sake of discussion, you brought in $500,000 last year. You have 500 people. That means you have $1,000 per person that your client is worth. If you don't know what your average client is worth, then how do you know how much you want to grow your business? Now, if you're in a state of flux and you're in transition, it's not about growth. It's about maintaining and solving some of the problems, coming up with a new strategy, maybe making your networking groups more effective. But if you're going to grow, you need to ask the question, what is your client worth? And the second question is, therefore, what percentage do you want to increase? What is the increase that you want for your business? So if you're a corporate and you are launching a new skunk work and you're launching a new strategy, if you want to grow your overall company by 3 to 5%, you'd be doing really great as a multi-billion-dollar company. However, if you're an entrepreneur, you have less than 10, 15 employees, you may be trying to grow between 30 and 40%. And what that means is how you think about growth is going to be what your client is worth and what percentage you want to grow in the next year. So why don't you write down what percentage you want to grow, either your personal income, your company's income, what you want to grow, write that percentage down. Now that you know what your client is worth, you know what percentage you want to grow, then all you need to do is figure out how many more clients you need. So if you're a business chamber and you want to grow by 10%, that's $50,000 on top of the $500,000, then you need how many more people? 50 more people to join your chamber. Now, the question is do you know where your business is on the growth curve? You see, there's two types of growth. One is incremental and one is exponential. And if you're on an exponential growth on the curve, you need to know where exactly you're at so that you know whether or not you should be discouraged or you should be encouraged. You see, many people, they don't know where they're at. I remember talking with one very dynamic school teacher named Lorraine, and she is now having a bed and breakfast, and what she's doing is she's been growing her business and growing her business. But as we talked, I recognized that maybe all of her years teaching children didn't give her some of the concepts that she needed for maybe running a bed and breakfast. So as we talked, here's what we found out, that she didn't know actually what she was having as her expenses. So as we totaled up all of her expenses, then we recognized that in the first year she was going under every month, except in the third year for the executive coaching program. It was the first month in a year and a half that she actually had a net profit. So therefore, where are you on this curve? So look at this. It's month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And actually, many of the clients that we have as businesses and as individuals, that's exactly what happens. They've actually been flatlined. They're going down a little bit. But what takes place is this, is as we get to know every client and as we implement some new strategies and take away some of the blockages, help them to think differently about their business. This is when month 7 happens. And I can't tell you how many times over and over and over again that on month 7 it just seems to be that magical month where everything's been removed that's a hindrance and now the new opportunities take place. And when that happens, that's when the exponential growth begins to go up where business becomes exciting again. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to a business individual who's ready to leave their company until they start making money again. Business is awfully fun when you're making money, and it's awfully boring when you're going broke. Now, the second part is incremental growth. And incremental growth means you're growing at a little bit of percentage every year, not maybe because you can't grow exponentially, but because you shouldn't grow. For instance, one of our long-standing clients, 4 years in the executive coaching program, Delenn Mulder from BedMet, just said to me a couple months ago, is it okay if we don't double again this year? She said, I don't want to double my business again this year. We've already done this for the last 3 years. All I want to do is I want to think about retirement. I want to think about passive income. I want to think about actually salary that's higher for me. And that's what we're focusing on in this 4th year. So just because you didn't double last year, your personal income or your company income, doesn't mean that you're not on the right track. Maybe you have a different set of objectives of what you're going to hit this year. Now, let's talk about converting meetings into money. Converting meetings into money. This first part is the law of expectation. Building anticipation that produces results. Okay, here's what the law of expectation teaches. That what I expect of my clients is what I will receive. I can't tell you how many times I've taken a person who was really struggling in business, wasn't doing well in business, didn't really believe in themselves. And I said to this person, boy, this is going to be an exciting journey. This is going to be the best year of your life. You're going to make more money than you've ever made in any 12-month time period. And because of my belief, they got excited about my belief in them. They didn't have the belief, I did in them. And the next thing you know, they're actually producing higher than what I expected from them. Here's my question. What do you expect when you attend a networking event? You see, if you had a bad morning, if things aren't going very well for you, and you're not real sure how to go from point A to point B, and you show up and that's the first time you thought about the networking event, then guess what's going to take place? You're going to be frustrated because nothing happened in your morning. However, if you've been thinking about this event, you've been planning this event, you've been brainstorming with your staff about going and doing some networking, when you attend the event, you've already built up your expectations, your anticipation, and you can't wait to walk into that room. Therefore, building anticipation that produces results. So here's my point to you. You will receive exactly what you expect and what you anticipate by how high your excitement is for that event. If you show up to the event and you haven't built any excitement toward it, then you shouldn't expect anything from it. Therefore, my encouragement to you is don't show up at a networking event hoping everyone's going to do business with you. My encouragement to you is make sure you show up ready and prepared through your law of expectation. Point number 2 is strategic placement. Walking, sitting, and speaking with a purpose. Strategic placement, walking, sitting, and speaking with a purpose. I'm going to give you an illustration about how this works. I was at the KLCBT, which is a Kruger Lowveld Chamber of Business and Tourism, and that's in the Lowveld in Nelspruit, South Africa. And I walked in and I was late. I don't like to be late. I like to be early at networking events, but I was about 10 minutes away from everything starting. And I walked into the back of the door. I was excited to be here. And I was looking around and I was scoping, and I asked myself the question every time, where is my table? You see, I've learned in networking that you can sit at somebody else's table and it's going to be a bad day. And here's what I want to share with you. I'm going to share with you how to actually do this without offending anyone. Okay, and here's what I did. I came back here and I looked around and I said, well, there's 2 tables. There's a table over here and there's a table over there. Let me go and sit down at this table. And I came and I got my stuff and I came and I sat down and I looked around and nobody greeted me. Now here's what I want to share with you. If you sit down at someone else's table, nobody will say hi. It doesn't mean they're being rude. It means that you're not connecting with those people. They're already connecting with other people, and you didn't interrupt their conversations, which you should. Meaning, when you sit down, people should stop and greet you. Now, so what I did, since nobody actually saw me sit down, is I quick got all my stuff up and I went to another table. And now, I've even sat down, got in a discussion with someone, realized it was the wrong table, and said to the person, listen, I think that table over there is where I need to be sitting. Would you mind if I sat over there? Would that be okay with you? Would you not take that personally? And the person was fine. I've yet to offend someone. Well, they didn't tell me, but I've yet to offend somebody when I actually got up and moved. I didn't storm off and say, you people are losers. It just wasn't my table. It was somebody else's table. So here's what I did. I stood up and I went over to my table. And when I sat down, the person next to me said to me, David, what do you do? And I said, well, we provide executive coaching to executive clients and help them to grow their businesses through business consulting and executive coaching, and just shared a little bit about our company. And he happened to be a director of a steel company. And he said to me, actually, this is exactly what we've been looking for. So he asked me for my business card. So I gave him my business card. The woman to my right said, actually, I'm a director of our company, and we've been looking for an executive coach too. Can I have your business card? So I turned around and gave her that business card. And then a woman across from me said, actually, I have my own company, but I want to double. I need a card too. So I sat at the right table. I wasn't there trying to sell. I just shared with who I was and what I was about. Here's my point. I sat at my table. Now, because I got into all these great discussions, guess what happened? Everybody went in line and got their eggs, and they got their bacon, and got their sausage. And while they were in line, and I kept talking to these people, and it was fun. And then what happened was I finally got hungry, so I stood up and I went. There was nobody left, except the 2 guys that joined me from behind. And they said to me, oh, who are you? I said, my name's David. They said, oh, you're from America, because I lived in South Africa for 7 years. And so that kind of gives me an edge, or it comes against me in some negative ways at times. But when I was getting my food, I just shared with them what I was doing. And they said, well, we're business partners. We're looking for an executive coach. My point is this, is I went to the networking meeting looking to serve other people. I was looking there to meet people that I could serve. I went there with business cards in hand, with an open heart, and I wanted to make sure I sat at my right table. Here's my question. Have you ever sat at the wrong table? Have you ever sat at a table where you looked around and recognized that nobody at the table maybe even talked to you, and what they had to offer you actually didn't need, and what you had to offer they didn't need, and you said, man, that was a waste of time. No, it wasn't a waste of time. You sat at the wrong table. So from now on, be purposeful of where you sit, who you talk to, who you meet, because if you're purposeful, you'll sit at your table and you'll be glad you did. Number 3, passivity versus urgency. Passivity versus urgency. Waiting or wealth. For some reason, the entrepreneurs that need business the most sometimes are the slowest to get back to you. I want you to imagine that you come in here and now you're a new entrepreneur and you're an extrovert. And have you ever seen these kind of people? They always make me nervous. They take their business cards and remember the old sprinkler systems? It was like, that's what they are. It's like this: business card, business card, business card, business card, business card. And they're handing out as many business cards because it's almost like the more business cards they hand out, the more money they're going to make. Now, in Africa, because I lived there for 2 years and then 5 years, in my first 2 years, I made a horrible mistake. I put on my business card my personal cell phone number. And I believed that the more I handed out, the better it was for my business. Unfortunately for me, I didn't recognize that since I'm not in the medical field or I'm not on call, that on your cell phone there's an off button. And when you're with your family and when you're on weekends and you're off and when you're sleeping, that's meant to be turned off so that your technology doesn't interrupt your life. Otherwise, you have no life. And what happened is people started calling my cell phone number at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning from prison. And what happened was, it was really amazing. I don't know how this happened, but somehow my business card or cards got circulated in the prisons in South Africa, and I started getting calls from Jabulani and Sipho asking me to please make personal donations into their account with their account number because they had my card. So what I did was I recognized that when somebody's at a networking event and they're just trying to hand out business cards like it's a sprinkler system, that actually they don't care about business. All they care about is getting as many business cards as they can to take them home and to spam you. So what I did was I came up with a methodology, and I'm not going to propose that you do this. This is what I do, and if you've ever received one of these, I'm sorry. But I have a fake business card. And I use this fake business card for people that seem to spread their business cards around, and I know that the only reason why they want my business contact is to spam me. I don't want to do business with them. So I have a pocket here, and I get out my business card, because here's my real business cards, and here's my fake business cards. And when I bring out my fake business card, they look and say, see, there's my name. On the back, there's an email address, which goes to Never Never Land. It's non-existent. It doesn't work. And the cool thing is that nobody's figured this out. Because as they continue to spam me and it comes back and says, it's not a real message, I'll never know because I don't check the email box because it's not a real email box. And they continue to send it, but see, I don't get any spam. What's my point? My point is, don't waste your time trying to hand out business cards to people that don't care. You want this to go to somebody who's urgent about you actually doing business with you. And I think about it this way. Because we do business in South Africa, we have something called Rand. And I've got 2,000 Rand here, and I have $200 here. And here's what networking is. It is cash. Networking is cash. The way that it's cash is that when somebody hands you a business card, if your product and service is $100, they are handing you a 100 Rand note. If it's worth $10, you're getting a $10 note as a business card. You see, the reason why networking doesn't work for many people is they don't recognize the value of a business card. When a person wants to do business with you, they're handing you cash. So if I said this to you, if I said the next networking event you go to, when you get a business card, For every business card you actually take home, and in less than 24 hours, you email or call the person, and I'll give you $200 cash for every person you follow up with in less than 24 hours. I guarantee you every single person would do it. South Africa clients, if I said to you, I will give you 2,000 Rand every time you did this, I promise you, you would do it in less than a day. Because here's why. We put value where we believe it to be true. A business card from someone who's interested in your business, from now on, I want you to see it, is 2,000 Rand per business card or $200 per business card. Never again dishonor the person who gave you the business card by not contacting them. You can make more friends in 2 months of doing what? This is a great quote. This is by Dale Carnegie. By becoming more interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get people interested in you. When you ask other people questions and you're trying to get to know who they are and you genuinely care for them, you're going to watch your effectiveness of your networking go through the roof. If it's always about you, networking won't work because networking isn't for you. It's to serve the community. It's for the best of other people. Lastly, maximizing your business model. Creating momentum in your sphere of influence. We talk about this in the Creating Momentum seminar and in the book about how to create momentum so that you spend less time networking and marketing and more time making finances. And this is a powerful one. It's called the Sacred Exchange. Givers gain through accurate sowing is the fill-in and abundant reaping. Accurate sowing and abundant reaping. And here's the point, is that if you want to see your business grow effectively, you must know where to sow and where to reap. If you show up to the first time to a networking event, you cannot expect to reap a harvest. You haven't sown any seeds yet. So find the correct business chamber to join the correct BNI, the Rotary, and make sure that you put good seed in the ground and watch it flourish in due season. Lastly, and most importantly, is finding your DEI or your domino effect individual. This is the most important part of networking. Your DEI is the individual that for some reason has a real heart for you and for your business. And what they'll do is they'll take you by the hand and they'll say, you know what, I want you to come and meet these people. And they will open up their whole network to you on their behalf. You won't find these people very often, but when you do, it'll revolutionize your business. I want you to think about that. Who's the domino effect individual for you as you watch this short clip? Therefore, as we wrap up part 1, my challenge to you is to begin to believe in networking again. Join your local business chamber, assist other business people, and as you serve them, expect your business to grow naturally. Welcome to part 2, the role of networking in business. What we're going to be talking about now is what is the bridge that you need to cross in order for your company to be successful in networking. There's a couple ideas we want to talk about first. One, as a business individual, you can look at networking in one of two ways. It happens to you, or you make it happen. One is passive, while the other is active. I want to share with you two stories about what's happened recently in the life of our business and to share with you how networking is so effective. I recently went to our very first Crystal Lake Chamber of Commerce mixer and was at a wonderful golf estate. And my wife, Katie, I brought her along. She's a wonderful networker, and I decided to do something different. Instead of actually going around and meeting people and say, hi, we're the Wilkinsons, we're from the Global Equipping Center, we just moved here from South Africa, and to actually introduce ourselves, I wanted to do a little bit different. I wanted to test the market. I wanted to see what these Crystal Lake people were all about. So what we did was we actually sat down at a table and had a little discussion by ourselves and just kind of looked at the group and just tried to suss them out a little bit and see what kind of people are these Northerners that we've come to really, we just moved here. We're trying to figure out who they are. And it was just absolutely amazing. Do you know, as we sat there, person after person, couple after couple would come pull up chairs, sit down, and talk to us and ask us questions. And we were so convinced at the end of that chamber mixer that we had to join that chamber because those were the kind of people that we wanted to spend time with. But that's not always the way that it is with you when you go to a networking event. In fact, on the majority of times, if you go and sit at a table, you're probably going to be the only one at that table. And so you need to actually get up and go be active when you engage other people. So my encouragement to you is this, is don't be passive when it comes to networking. For the majority of the time, you need to be the one going around shaking hands and handing out something called flyers. Now, some people don't understand what a flyer is and what it's actually able to do. We've made, with our company, right around $50,000 or 500,000 Rand from flyers alone. What we didn't do is we didn't give our flyers to some guy standing at a street corner to pass them out as people went by in cars, because that's not the kind of clients that we're looking for. We're not looking for people driving. We're looking for people in business. And what we did is we just developed a really nice, classy flyer, and we give the flyers in lieu of business cards to the right people. Now, if you don't have a flyer for your business, I guarantee you, you're not making the money that your business needs to make. But here's what you're going to do. You're not going to do it on Word. You're not going to create a cheesy flyer. You're actually going to have a front and back, high gloss flyer, full color, that when you give to somebody, they say, wow, isn't that great? You see, when you give somebody a really cheap, inexpensive business card and they feel it, how do they think about your company? That you're cheap. If you do the same thing with a flyer, they're not impressed. And they may take your cheap flyer and your cheap business card and throw it away when they get back to their office or their home. However, if you give them a beautiful flyer, how do you think about it? When you go home, isn't it easier to throw away a cheap business card than a really nice flyer? Because you know that somebody put some time and effort and money into that flyer. My encouragement to you is never leave home without your flyers and your business cards, but don't hand them out just for the sake of handing them out. Hand them out to the key people you want to do business with, and if a graphic designer has designed it perfectly, it should actually be a little bit impressive. Your focus when you leave home is the moment of failure or success. Have you ever woken up in the morning and you knew it was going to be a bad day, where you actually fell out of bed? I mean, you fell out of bed, you hit the floor, and you said, oh no, this is going to be a bad day. My encouragement, just go ahead and cancel your networking event. There's really no reason to go to a networking event if you're going to have a bad day. So if you can't get things right on the track, then don't go to do networking. It's almost like this. You kind of send off a vibe in networking. And if you really are happy to be there and you're really having a great day, other people, they may question whether or not you should really be that happy, but they want to do business with happy people. You see, nobody wakes up and says this, I can't wait to meet a really grumpy person in the marketplace to do business with. They want to be doing business with people who love what they do. Now, if you're in a job and you're trying to do networking, you're going to fail. Because people that are in jobs that get paid, that hate what they do, networking is just one more thing that they can tick off, they can check off of their list. My encouragement, don't network if you can't stand what you do. The other part of networking that you don't want to do is the more money you make, the more you should network. Listen very carefully. There are some business owners that as they become multimillionaires, multi-billionaires, the ones who stop growing their business are the ones who delegate networking to those beneath them in their company. The one area you should never delegate, no matter how high you are up in your company or how big your company is networking. When you delegate networking, you delegate your opportunity to care about your customers. You see, as long as you're networking, you are really keeping your finger on the pulse of the marketplace. And that way, you will never become irrelevant. You see, when you're irrelevant at the top because you no longer network with the customers, you become irrelevant in your company because the people that work with you and for you no longer can relate to you because you can't relate to the people that they're trying to serve. So if there's one thing you don't want to delegate, it's networking. If you're preoccupied personally, you will surely miss out on obvious opportunities professionally. This is what I've learned, is if I had a bad morning and let's say I ran over a rabbit in the road and I'm thinking about the bunny I ran over and I'm just having a really bad day and the bunny, and I keep thinking about this poor bunny that I saw squirming because I ran over and it was so bad and I'm so glad nobody was with me, and I go to a networking event thinking about the bunny I ran over, I'm not going to be able to focus on the person who's talking to me. Here's my encouragement to you. Focus when you network. If you're thinking about your spouse or your kids or the bunny you ran over or anything else except the person that you're trying to network with, you're going to miss out on a great opportunity. Many people, they miss out on the opportunity because they're preoccupied with all these other areas over here, and because of that, they miss out on the one big opportunity that they were looking for. What preoccupies you away from networking? What hinders you from that next big opportunity? Whatever it is, you need to make sure it's out of your mind and out of your focus when you walk into the back of that room. The bridge of business growth. There are 4 parts that we want to talk about now. Each of them are equally important. The first one is location. Location. This is where the networking event actually takes place, and this is awesome. I have gone to a networking event in a 3-story barn. I've actually been networking in a barn. There was manure, there was hay, there were animals, and there was a bunch of cowboys, and we had a networking event. I did not wear a suit. And when we were there, the location dictated all these things. And your location that you have a networking event at tells your audience what they should expect. If you network in a barn, I'm assuming you should have a cowboy hat on, boots, and a very big belt buckle if you're going to do business. But if you go to a chamber, you need to expect that location to help drive your excitement based upon the location that you're having it. Secondly, we're going to talk about the audience, which is who. Who is your target audience that you want to do business with? Who are the people that you say, this is my target client? And then you need to make sure that you go to the locations they are at, and then you intersect with the people that you want to do business with. And we're going to talk about that in a couple seconds as well. Number 3 is the topic. And this is hilarious. The topics could be anything of political. It can be something about animals. It can be about something about taxes. But what the topic is typically drives the type of people that are in the room and the location. For instance, if we're talking about tax reform and it's a political debate, then I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of accountants and lawyers and political people that have to do with the law all in the room. Now, if that's your target audience, then you should be there. But if that's not your target audience, then you may learn a couple things, but will you actually do any networking? Will you have any opportunities to be involved in anyone in the room? And lastly is the word connecting. And that is, how do you relate to the other people in the room? How do you relate to other people in the room? How do you connect with them? So we're going to take this now and we're going to look at this bridge of business growth and how these four pillars can positively or negatively affect you in the marketplace. Let's take a look at number one. Location. Not knowing where the networking event is taking place. Now, in the olden days, we had something called maps. And when I would go to a business, I would get out a map of the city. And I don't know about you, but if you remember, the maps looked really pretty on the outside, and they were really awesome as you unfolded them, but you couldn't get them back the way that they were supposed to. I hated those things. And so you would open it up and then open it up again, and then you would fold it out, and then you would look, and you would try to find the little road. Remember the road? And then you would say, oh, it's in B41, and then you would find the road, and then you would try to write okay, then I'm going to go back here and I'm going to write, and you would write down your direction from that point to where you were, and you would almost always get lost. Today there's something called a global positioning service called a GPS, and the GPS sometimes is wrong, and so my encouragement to you is have a backup GPS. I have a vehicle GPS and a phone GPS. Do you know in the last 3 months I've gone to 2 networking events in cornfields? I have shown up at the right time. I've shown up with the right people. I showed up dressed, ready to go in the middle of a cornfield, and nobody was there. I don't know where my GPS went, but it took me in the middle of a cornfield, and I said, I have a feeling this is not where the chamber meant for me to end up. There's nothing worse for you to be frustrated about networking if you can't find the location. My encouragement is either go with someone or make sure that you have crossroads and it's not in the middle of a cornfield. Number 2, at the location, incorrect appearance can hinder your message. Incorrect appearance at the location. If the location is at an arts museum, if it's at a chamber, if it's at a luxurious restaurant, my encouragement to you is to dress accordingly to the location to match what your message is. So if you're in pesticides, then you might want to wear a professional long-sleeve collared shirt with your logo here with nice slacks. If it's a beach networking party, you show up in slops and flip-flops and cut-off shorts and a t-shirt. That's great. But here's my point, is the location dictates your dress. And if it's a classy place, you don't want to be underdressed, because what does that say about you and your business? 3, audience. Showing up unannounced might have a slight negative ramification. Okay, there's a large difference between showing up to a major networking function and smaller networking groups. My encouragement to you is to, when you show up to the smaller networking groups, to actually follow the correct protocol. Now, if it's a last-minute deal and you just pitch up, every once in a while that's okay, but what you don't want to do is make that a habit, because the people that are professional will actually print off name tags with nice laser printers, and it has all the name tags there. And when you show up unannounced, you have to write yours on there. And when that happens, it's okay. It's your name and everything, but if you would have let them know beforehand, they could have printed off your name on their logo, and therefore it would have been professional like everyone else's. When you show up to a smaller group, it kind of throws off a smaller group at times when you show up unannounced, because they don't know that a visitor's coming. And some people, they say, listen, please come on this day. This is a visitor's day for us. My encouragement to you is be polite. If it was your networking group, would you want somebody pitching up, or would you want to be asked permission and invite the visitor to come so that you can introduce them properly, rather than saying, well, now, how did you find out about us? So think before you go. Audience, your belief system and your behavior have a massive impact on your first experience. The negative is this, is if I have the belief system that this networking group, well, I don't think they're not going to like me very much. We just moved here from South Africa, and I'm not really a Midwestern type person, and you know what, and then I forget to smile and greet other people, it's not going to be a good networking experience. If I walk into the back of the door and I'm all excited and I walk in because this is an opportunity I have to meet with other people for the first time, and I am happy to be there. My belief system is I'm going to fit in great here. Man, I love Chicago. This is going to be great. I can't wait for it to snow like everyone else. It's going to be awesome. And if I have that belief system and I show up, and if my behavior matches that, and I say, you know what, it's great to be here, and I introduce myself with a smile. I say, hi, I'm David. What's your name? It's a pleasure to meet you. Then, you know what, that genuineness comes across as genuine, doesn't it? So your belief and your behavior must align with how you feel. And if you don't feel either one of those, maybe it's not the right networking group for you. Next point. Topic. The group's value system is in opposition to your own. Now, let's say you're a vegetarian. I would encourage you not to go to the networking event, which is the big game hunters official yearly meeting, where there's 600 burly men with guns that have shot a bunch of animals and have zebra, giraffe, and crocodile there for you to eat, and by the way, the salad is chicken. Okay, if that happens to you, you might say this, oh my gosh, why did I come to this place? This is not a place I want to network. Well, of course not. You're a vegetarian. That's a value that you have. And the other people in the room are frustrated with you because you keep eating the animal's food. And they're saying, why are you here? Here's my point. My point is this, is that you want to align yourself with networking groups that align with your values. Therefore, the very areas that you care about needs to be the very areas they care about, and it should be that you're talking the same language. And if you're not talking the same language, it's okay. Go find a group that does. Don't feel guilty about it, but don't try to change your values to fit another group. Find a group that aligns with your values. Next on the topic is no one in the room has the potential to become a client. No one in the room has the potential to become a client. Let me share with you what this means. In the executive coaching program, we help people individually and as a business to double their income in 12 months. That's what we focus on. If you're an entrepreneur, if you have if you're salary, you're in the executive coaching program as an executive. If you're corporate, that's different. But we help people who have a business that's probably plateaued that they want to double. Okay. Do you know we don't go to meetings about how to go bankrupt to find clients? You see, the topic of how to go bankrupt in 30 days isn't a place that we show up to try to get our clients. That means that their business is going down. And we're not trying to help people go bankrupt. That's not our clients. So here's my question. What is the topic of the networking event that you want to go to that you would say, this is an exciting topic and these are the right people for me to recruit? Those are the people you want to serve. So if you're a vegetarian, don't go to the Meat Eaters Anonymous. And if you are helping people to double their income, don't try to find them where they're going bankrupt. Connecting. This is awesome. Connecting. Your chemistry does not combine with others in the room. Okay, this is what I love about business. Business is a love affair. Business is the most romantic thing you can possibly find outside of a wonderful relationship. But if you aren't in love with your business, then you're in the wrong business. You are meant to woo your business. You meant to coax your business. It's meant to be a romance that lasts a lifetime with your business. And because of that, that's called chemistry. I love the Global Equipping Center. I romance my business. I love my business. I compliment my business just like I do with my own wife. Therefore, my encouragement to you is to find the correct chemistry with the correct group that you can romance. Now, how do you romance other people? Well, think about it. Let's say you're dating somebody for the first time, and you take them out on the first date, the second date, the third date. I promise on the third date, you don't look across from the person and say, you know, your teeth are too big. You know, I think your left cheek is bigger than your right cheek. You know what you don't do? You don't start criticizing the person that you're trying to date, especially in the beginning, because that really doesn't build warm fuzzies, does it? So what I'm trying to say is the same way that you cultivate a romance in someone else is the same thing that you do when you cultivate romance with a networking group. You are actually going to date the group, and you show up, and you try to see, is this something where I have chemistry? You see, here's what I've learned. There are certain places that I can't wait to leave, and there are certain places that I miss when I'm away. If you find the right networking group, it ought to be that when you're away from the people, you miss them. And you say this, wow, I can't wait to have another networking event because I love being with the people. You hear it? I love being with the people because the people is what makes the magic happen. And when you have that chemistry, you don't have to work at it. It's like this. The networking group and you, your business, seem to fit beautifully together in a chemistry that you just naturally want to do business together. If you have to push your business in networking, you're in the wrong networking group. Business should flow naturally as you get to romance the people that you care about. Lastly, connecting. You feel out of place as an individual and are more excited to leave than stay. Okay, if you've ever been to the wrong networking group, this is a horrible experience. You were sitting in the group, nobody at your table. In fact, you don't even know if there's a table in there you would like to sit at. And you're looking around and you're saying, these are nice people, but they're not my people. And they're people that I can't relate to. And when is this time up? I'm ready to go. I remember I actually was in a large networking meeting in Charlotte. And I was sitting there, and I looked around the people at the table, and I was looking at other tables, and as I looked around, I recognized there's not a person in here I want to do business with. This is the wrong group. How did I get into this group? I don't know. But when they said, and thank you for coming, I was the first person to stand up, and I was making a beeline for the door, because these were not people I wanted to do business with. Nice people, not my people, because there wasn't chemistry. I couldn't connect to anybody at the table. And you know what it's like? It's like a newborn giraffe trying to walk. That's what it feels like. The thing is falling all over the place. That's what happens when you're at the wrong networking event. You try to talk to somebody, you say, hi, my name's David, and like, and they turn and talk to somebody else. It's a really bad experience. So my encouragement to you is when you have a bad experience, don't use that as an excuse not to network. If you get bucked off the horse, you brush yourself off and you get on a different horse and you kind of travel into the sunset. Just because you had one bad experience in networking doesn't mean that they're all bad. It just means you didn't mix with that chemistry. A Master of Business of Administration. What an MBA will not teach you. Peter Drucker says more business decisions occur over lunch and dinner than in any other time. Yet no MBA courses are given on the subject. I remember having long, at times intense discussions with my business partner, James Rice, about this very issue. I have a value which is to put a large majority of our income into food. I have found that one of the secrets about growing business happens around meals. And I'm not talking about cheap meals. I'm talking about nice quality 4- or 5-star class meals. And what happened is James and I got in this big discussion because I said to him one month, James, we're going to spend a lot of money this month on meals. He said, why? I said, because food builds loyalty. When you care about other people, if you truly care about them, have a meal with them and see how much more they will care about your business. Because you know what it does? When I treat someone to a meal, it's saying to them that I really care about you and I want to get to know you and your business. Coffee doesn't quite do that, but a meal does. And I remember a few years ago, we spent more money than most people will spend in a year, and we spent in 1 month on meals, and we doubled our client base. And I remember James shaking his head saying, David, I don't understand how you spend money, but you keep doing that because you keep growing the business. But my point is this, is networking is wonderful over meals. Why do you think so many networking groups meet over a breakfast, lunch, cocktails, or dinners? Because that's the best time when your defenses go down, when the food is in front of you. My encouragement is if you want to really learn how to network, exercise more and have more meals. Okay, there are 8 steps of effective networking that we now want to talk about. And the first one on your next page of your notes is going to be the word greeting. Greeting at the very bottom is number 1. Greeting, informing others about yourself. Now, what I want to do is I want to take an individual in the room and I want to share with you how to actually effectively network with someone else as a practical training tool. Because most people have never been taught that there are actually steps to networking. They don't know how to network. And here's how easy it is. When you walk into the room and you find your table and you're going to sit down next to the person, which are all your people, and you're excited, you've built your momentum up, you're excited about the people then what you're going to do is you're going to come over and you're going to greet someone. And you're going to say, hi, my name is David. What's your name? And then you're going to greet the person. And what you're going to do is you're going to ask some questions about them. So I'm going to say, tell me, okay, Dave, tell me a little about yourself. Okay, and you have a family? Yeah, tell me about your business. What do you do? And I'm going to ask 3 or 4 questions that get him to share about his life with me. And then this is one of the largest secrets you're going to hear about in this training. You're going to do something which is unheard of. You're going to pause. You're going to take a breath, and you're going to wait. Because there are certain people, not Dave, there are certain people that they are there to network only because of themselves. And they only care about themselves, and they only care about making money, and they only care about their company and their products and services. Those people don't want to get to know you. They only want to talk about themselves. Therefore, in the greeting, what you're doing is something called pre-qualify. You're going to pre-qualify this individual to see whether or not this is a person you want to actually go on in the conversation. So if I talk to Dave and I ask him all these questions and he says, yeah, and this, and you start talking and talking, I'm asking 4 or 5 questions, and then I pause and he goes, well, it's great to meet you. And then he shakes my hand and goes to somebody else. Guess what that means? He's not interested in me, which is wonderful because I didn't waste any more time with him. So then I will come over here and I will ask Katrina and I will talk to Katrina and I will ask her and ask her and ask her. And you know what? I already know the people in the room, if you could see them all, these are high quality people in Chicago. I've actually done this to every single person in the room. And here's what happened, is after I got done asking them questions, guess what every single person said to me? Well, David, tell me a little bit about yourself. You see, then you go to the next step. Marketing. This is when you're going to share, not sell, share about your product and service. Well, my name's David Wilkinson. I've got a wife and 6 kids, and we just moved here via South Carolina from South Africa. This is July 2014 for August. And yeah, our company does this, this, and this, and I share a little bit. Now, right then, I have now done something. I have painted a picture on the wall about what I do. So I've greeted him. He's now greeted me. He's asked me who I am and what I do. I've shared it back with him. Number 3. Now I'm going to question him about what does he need. You see, I'm going to research about what his personal and professional needs are. Now this is really important. Many times, this is how people shoot in business. They take a bow and arrow, they shoot it into the wall, and then they go and take paint and draw around it and say, look, everyone, I hit the bullseye. Okay, that's not business. Business is setting up the bullseyes and then knowing which targets you're going to hit. What a lot of people do is they try to convince the person to want something that they have no need for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Dave questions. So Dave, tell me a little bit about your company. Do you want to exponentially grow your finances this next year? What are you looking to do? How big is your company? How's your marketing going? And I'm going to ask him questions to find out if, number 1, this individual needs what I have, and number 2, does his company need what I have? If he has no needs, then I say to him, man, it was great to meet you. I really look forward to having another conversation with you in the future. And then I go to the next person. Now listen, if he doesn't need what you have, thank him for his time and go find somebody who does. Don't feel guilty. It's time to move on. You need to decide how many people you're going to shake hands with. But if nobody in the whole room needs what you have, you may need to start another company. Number 4. Now, if he has personal and professional needs that I have to offer, this next one is recruiting. Recruiting. Now I'm going to try to recruit Dave into the executive coaching program. And the way I'm going to do that is say, this is unbelievable. Dave, actually, these 4 things that you said you needed, that's actually what we do as a company. And we actually do this and this and this and this. And actually, this is going to be really beautiful. Do you see how that works together? And he's going to say, yeah, that's great. So I'm going to recruit him out of what he's doing into what I'm doing, where he says, wow, this is a natural fit. Now, this next point is so important. This is the first time you're going to sell. For the extroverts in the room, this is not the way to network. Hi, how are you? My name is David Wilkinson. We double people's income. You'd like to double your income. Here's my card. Let's do business. That is not the way to network. And if you network that way, you will be asked not to come back. And you shouldn't come back because you don't network to run people over. And salesmen are so excited about what they're doing that without them knowing it, they can sell everybody everything, and then they appear too pushy through their excitement. So if you're a hard seller, my encouragement is think twice before you network. Because networking is not about selling. Now look at these next words. It's persuasion. Persuading them about, what is it? Time. Time. This is the most important part of this whole process right here is timing. You see, because if Dave says to me, oh my goodness, David, I can't believe you do these 4 things. You know what? This is so perfect because we just got a big order in. I just got a huge chunk of change in. This is going to be awesome. This is exactly the right time. When he says that, then I know that this is good. Now, let me stop right here because this is a hair that needs to be just put in place. I am assuming that you have pure motives. You see, if your motives are impure, when you get to point number 5, you can push people into making a decision by manipulating their emotions. I'm assuming that your motives are pure. And since you do have pure motives, what that means is that if Dave says to me, you know what, we just moved offices, and I just lost my largest client. Man, you know what, this would be a real stretch for me. I know we could do it, but, oh, man, I would lose sleep over paying your fee. You know what I'm going to say to Dave? You know what, Dave? I'll tell you what. Let's have coffee in 2 months. Let's pick a date, and let me come and let's talk about this. And let's see if you're a little bit closer to where you need to be. Now, why will I do that? Here is why I will do that. The moment in networking that you force someone by manipulating them emotionally to buy into your product or your service, and it hurts them, you hurt the entire networking group. Don't manipulate other people. If you're desperate for money, don't network. Because if you network when you're desperate, you will harm that networking group, and it will be a detriment to them. Therefore, my encouragement to you is, don't need the business. You see, if you don't need the business, when you go and network, man, is it a lot of fun. It is so much fun to network. When you can walk into the back of the room and say, I can't wait to meet with these people. I can't wait to serve them. This is going to be awesome. And then guess what? You get clients not because you look for them, just because you bump into the right people at the right place, the right time, and they need exactly what you have. This next step, number 6, is quoting, negotiating a fair price. Now, if you're in products, I'm assuming that you have a buffer added onto your product in which you can negotiate a discount. That's usually how products work. If you're in services, I would encourage you never to give a discount. You need to know exactly what you're worth as a service, and you need not to in any way phase on that. You should not say, well, I'll give you a 2-for-1 discount. You know what that says? You're not worth actually what you're paying. So when I say to somebody in South Africa, it's 25,000 Rand a month, it's a direct deposit plus 10% of gross. If you're a service company, that's what it is. Please don't ask for a discount. You can't join. It's okay. If you're in America, it's $2,500 a month. It's a 1-year commitment. It's a $30,000 sale. Therefore, we don't want anybody joining who's not completely sold out to the program, and we'll do what we ask them to do to grow their income. It's not discountable. It's what it's worth. So when you're negotiating with somebody, if you give leeway, make sure that it's a win-win situation. But if you are unable to give a discount because that's what it's actually worth, then you want to make sure that you're clear with that, and then you say this is what it is. And if the person can't do it, that's okay. But if they say, no, that's great, please send me an invoice, here's what I want you to do. Send them the invoice. This is so remarkable. So now they're going to give you their business card. You're going to put on the back, send invoice. Now I want you to get your 2,000 Rand and your $200, and now that's all that money is tied to that business card. That's what you have. All I want you to do, go home, go to the office, sit down, type up the invoice, and then I want you to push send. And then after you push send, make sure you call the person to ensure that if it goes across the country or gets lost in cyberspace or goes into spam, that they received the invoice. Because if they didn't receive the invoice and you expect payment, it was your fault because you sent it and they didn't receive it. Number 7, conclude a sale by providing the formal document, invoicing. And number 8 is celebrating, receiving payment and experiencing a comparable incentive. Here's what I want to share with you about celebrating. There's 2 times you celebrate. If you're too busy to celebrate, you need to slow down. You're always to celebrate, because celebration creates momentum and a thankfulness for what you have. So here's what happens is, let's say Dave says yes, he wants to join the executive coaching program, and he gives me a yes. He hasn't paid any money, but he said yes. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out to Moretti's and get a well-done pizza, because they cook it on top and the steam rises, and they have draft beers, and I'm going to sit there with a big draft beer and a nice big pizza. I'm going to eat it, and I'm going to say I got another client, and I'm going to celebrate. It didn't cost me a lot of money, but I celebrated. You know what that does? That gets me excited about the yes. But when his money hits the bank, that's a different celebration, because what you got to realize is, this is my money believing that his money is going to come in. This is celebrating little, and this is celebrating big time. If you're not celebrating when you get another customer, when you get another client, then you're not taking the time that you need to recognize that you actually performed the 8 steps accurately. You got another client, and you deserve a pat on the back. And when you celebrate, you're happier in your company, and you're happier with your team. Usually, the first 6 steps you can do at a networking event without offending anyone else. If someone else is offended by your style, it means that you didn't follow this formula correct, and people are feeling taken advantage of. Never should anyone ever say, boy, that person sells hard. It means you're doing it wrong. You should never have to sell. So, which step do you dominate? I want you to take those 8 steps there, and I want you to circle the one that you seem to dominate in the marketplace. You say, wow, I'm really good at this step. Just put a circle around that step. When you go home tonight, I want you to write down in those notes on, if somebody came to you and said, listen, on the step that you dominate, I'm horrible in that step. I can't seem to figure that step out. I want you to write down when you get home exactly how you would train another person from the lessons you've learned about that step, about how to help them to master that step. Now what I want you to do is put a star next to the very step that you seem to struggle with the most. Which one do you say, oh, I have a hard time doing that? If you don't know how to close a sale, then put that next to selling. Put a star there. And what I want you to do when you get home is to write down one way how you can solve this problem and become better at it. Are you going to take an online course? Are you going to talk to other people that are actually excellent in that step and find a way to work on your weakness to become a strength in your life? So, the most potent people I've known have been the best networkers. They know everybody from everywhere and have just been out to lunch with most of them. My encouragement to you is to recognize this fact, that your business needs you to network. And that if you're in the right location, with the right audience, with the right topic, and you connect with those people, you will be so thankful that you joined the correct group. When you network in such a way that it grows your business, it'll be because you're serving others with a pure heart and with a good product and a good service. May you have a phenomenal month.
you.